Sign in at the end of the table so we can record your attendance. Thank you. And the paperwork was in the back as well if you didn't pick any up. There's a clipboard going around if everybody would confirm their telephone number and email. We've had some emails been bouncing back because we've had some, I guess, new members or changes with current members. Okay, so we are called to order if you didn't know that. We need to approve some minutes. They were emailed to you all today.
Move to approve.
Well, let's have a discussion about one of them.
You want to give me credit for
Yeah, I
that?
did.
You didn't really want to say that?
October 17th, I was excused. I was out of town, and they had Cliff not appropriately identified, but it was my name in the minutes. So we're going to make that one edit in the October 17th minutes.
Can I say what I said?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I asked Daisy how in the world she could possibly miss figuring out who we were or confuse me with work, and then I realized it was the hair. So it's I figured it was money.
Easy.
My hair. I didn't think it was the age, Johnny. You know, it's not my age. I'm so much older.
Not the letters to the editor or anything like that.
Oh, no, that would never.
Okay, so we got two sets of minutes, June the 6th and October the 17th. And we got a motion for approval. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, they pass for the record there. Okay, so I want to introduce Mike and Morgan up here. Did I miss anything else? Yeah. Dady? Yeah. Dottie, come on. Sorry.
That's all right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. For those of you who don't know me, I am Yade Fox. I am with the City of Hickory, and I'm the assistant to the city manager. As we all know, Andrea Surratt has actually gone to Bozeman, Montana. She actually started yesterday. She sent me pictures, and it's gorgeous over there. It's already got some snow, but it looks really, really beautiful.
You need to share them really.
I'll be sure to do that. I'll share some of those pictures because it looks gorgeous. But certainly, as she has left, we have been trying to work out the transitional period, and so I am now going to be working with all of you. Certainly, she has left some very large shoes to fill, and so I will do my very best to make sure that I do so. So if you need anything, please let me know. You know, certainly you have my contact information. Kyle will still be working on all of the projects, but certainly you'll be seeing me at these meetings as well. And you've seen me. A lot of you who've been serving for a while have seen me almost every single meeting. Additionally, we just wanted to say just a quick thank you to all of you for serving. Those of you that are new, and those of you who have been serving for quite some time. This has been a really amazing process, and I can't tell you, as someone in the community who just loves what we've been doing, but to see all of you come together has been a fantastic experience, and so to be able to be a part of that is wonderful. So thank you for your time. I'm going to turn it over to Mike, and he's going to go over a few things, and he'll give you a little bit of an overview of tonight's meeting, and then we'll go into specifics on each of those. And then if you have any questions, feel free to ask, because that's what this meeting's all about.
Hey everybody, good to see you all again. For those of you who don't know me, Mike Waits with Friesen Nichols, and then Morgan McElwain will present here in a little bit as well. There we go. So agenda tonight, we're going to go over the overall process, just subcommittee, bond commission, council, whole process. We're going to give you a program financial update, an abbreviated version. There was a council bond commission workshop October 17th, I believe. For those of you who didn't see it, you'll get the highlights with me. Then the exciting part is hearing from your subcommittees. The City Walk did, there's a lot of things that have changed and evolved, and there's a recommendation on City Walk that's pretty cool. I can't wait for all of y'all to see that. And then Riverwalk, not to be outdone, has some pretty cool features as well. And they just did a subcommittee meeting and have some recommendations for the bond commission. We'll close, and ultimately what we're closing with is we want to see if we can get your recommendation from the bond commission to city council. So that's our goal for tonight. So process, those of you that have been at the subcommittee meetings, the last couple, you've seen this. It's This flow chart here basically shows that city staff, Freeze and Nichols, the designers on the project, we've been working with the subcommittee. We've looked at options. We've asked for preferences. We've been given guidance. And ultimately, the subcommittees are making recommendations to the Bond Commission. The Bond Commission, likewise, like this meeting here tonight, we're asking you to review those recommendations, ask your questions, develop a recommendation, pass that on to council, and then we're looking for council to approve those recommendations. It was in June when we did a Bond Commission meeting that one of the council members was in here, and he phrased it very eloquently. I'll try to do it justice here, but he basically said, respect the people in the process. And knowing all of y'all have volunteered your time. You're away from your family, your friends, your house. You've been putting in, we've had great attendance at all the subcommittee, Bond Commission meetings. I really appreciate that. It shows you really care for these projects for your community. Just know that they're all digging in, they're asking questions, they're seeing options, they're doing a lot of hard work to build consensus. And I just ask that y'all, when you see the recommendations, understand that there's a lot of energy went into it. Doesn't mean you can't question it, doesn't mean you can't ultimately ask for changes to it, but that does put us backwards one step when you do that. So just be aware of that, and we'll work with council to do likewise with your recommendations. Moving to the program financial update, great news on this. The city already has, they've applied for and already received $15.5 million in grants. So what I want to stress here is if the citizens and the city leadership had not gone out for the $40 million bond program, you wouldn't have gotten $15.5 million in grants. That means a lot when you're applying on these grants to the state and federal agencies. The fact that y'all are willing to commit your own money to making Hickory better, to build these projects, that has been leveraged. The city currently has 2 other grants out. They're going to continue to apply for grants and get more money. So this is great news. But with those bonds, with those grants, that whole vision that we spent the first year developing, that can come to fruition. The projects have actually morphed to some extent. City Walk has been extended from 4th to 9th because of these grant monies. Also, the 127 bridge, it is more iconic, in my opinion, than what it was that first year that we looked at it. The Riverwalk has become an all-waterfront Riverwalk, which you'll see here tonight. The trail width went from, I remember in that first year we were really struggling with the trail width. We're trying to make the cost work, we're trying to make the permitting work, and we had it down at 10 feet. They've been able to extend it out to 12 feet at this point. They've also added an iconic bridge at the upstream end of US 321 there that acts as a gateway when you're crossing over that bridge into Hickory, and it's, again, you'll see all that tonight. With these grant changes, and I know you can't read the numbers here, but with these grant changes, the money that's coming in, and with some of these project changes that have made the projects' budgets to increase, the city's been tracking all that. They've been managing all that. They took this to council and the Bond Commission and did that financial workshop last month. What it resulted in is you had your original bond budgets over here, updated project cost here, grant funding here, and then your final bond funds over here. And they approved this revised budget at last month's meeting. And with that, let me turn it over to Frank to talk a little bit about the process we went through with City Walk. And
Thank you. I want to address you.
oh, you do not.
Thank you, everybody. First of all, I want to say, did everybody get an invitation from me for a meeting a couple weeks ago? Yeah, well, I don't know why, because I didn't send it. Apparently you did, and you got 2. I opened the invitation from Kyle, and it was stuck on my phone, and I was going to get this. Somehow I sent 2, so my apologies. If you get another one, let me know. Something. I'm afraid of. Yeah. So they wanted me to kind of informally speak to the formality of our process so far for the City Walk. We started off with these grandiose plans, and we've narrowed them down. We're now at the 60% progress. I think there was a learning curve along the way on the detail that we would provide, but also the manner in which we would provide it. But I feel like the process has gone fairly well for us. I really do. I feel like the design firm gets generally what we have in mind. And for me personally, and hopefully the committee feels the same way, I am absolutely in love with generally with their ideas. I'm so excited about this. So what we're going to talk about today, and Morgan is going to go through it, are some of the details. I don't think there's going to be a lot of feedback from us at this point, nor was there at our 60% meeting last week. We're giving recommendations to the city council for what we see here. Don't be afraid to speak up, obviously. But I'm by and large, I'm very excited. In fact, when I drove here this afternoon, I drove down from 4th, down along the walkway, and with the sun about to set, you can see people walking along where the city walk eventually will be. And I am so excited about this. And I know y'all know how I get. And the whole iconic thing. But the bridge will be beautiful. What more can I say? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Morgan.
Thank you. With that, we're going to go over this in a little more detail. I apologize for my voice. That's why we have a microphone up here tonight, because you guys all know by now, usually I'm pretty loud on my own. At this point, though, I want to invite you guys to come up. We've got a strip map up here. And as we go through these recommendations, we want to point out to you where they are along City Walk so you can get more of a feel of how this is going to be. So if you guys want to come up and look at the strip map, I know, but we just ate dinner. It's going to be good for you.
You might have to do a pretty wide circle to get around it.
I know it's going to be a little hard to see, but this is the exciting part, is seeing where everything is. Okay, so the first recommendation from the City Walk Subcommittee, if you're going to have to look at the screen and the map, but the screen has these blocks. So one thing that the designer was working on were these pieces of art and sculpture. So these blocks are lighted blocks that you can actually, I'm going to say play on. I guess it's for the kids and stuff. You can sit on them, you can walk through them, around them. It's meant to be very interactive.
Where are you with this?
And those are down in front of the granary.
Oh, down in front of the granary.
So this is a kind of an overview of where the next 3 items are that we're going to talk about. So if you want to look at the map on the screen and the map on the table, the next 3 items we're going to talk about are a retaining wall, and you can kind of see this retaining wall right there.
We're already going to do the railroad volume, the walk, and the walk volume.
And then the iconic pedestrian bridge is right here. And we're going to talk about the handrails on that bridge. And then there's a proposed area here that we're going to talk about in this area.
What is that? The last one.
I'm going to get to it. So here's the retaining wall. And we looked at a few different options, and we talked about this in great length, and this is the design that we're recommending, or that the subcommittee is recommending to the Bond Commission.
What is it made of?
It is made of stonework, yeah. And it's approximately 300 feet long, and it varies in height, and it's approximately 8 foot tall at its highest point.
It's in the walkway where you see the people, so we're actually walking beside that, correct?
Right, yes.
Is that north or south?
Let me back up a slide.
So it's gonna be south, the walkway.
Yeah.
Or the north side.
It's in between the walkway and the railroad there.
Yeah, so the big white roof is near Transportation Insights parking lot.
Right, this is TI down here.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do both sides? Yeah, so both sides.
Double barrel through here. And we actually, through this part, we already have new sidewalk, or really new sidewalk. And I believe we're already have. This is where it's like, you're
And up here, there, Jim. Is that a right here? Yeah.
So this is the handrails for the iconic pedestrian bridge. And those are arches with banisters.
So Morgan, the side elevation with the two humps and the verticals, is that the handrail or is that also the reflection of the main trusses?
So that's the handrail that's
Okay.
moving across here
Okay.
and up across here.
Okay.
How much higher above the railroad trestle there? Is it above, is this bridge above that grade?
It's in between the road and the railroad bridge.
Will you be able to see it when
Do
you
you
drive?
remember, it's higher.
The deck of the bridge is equal to the current rail on the railroad bridge. Roughly.
So you get it above it, you see it instead of
You
the.
shouldn't be able to start.
So you're not
railroad
right
bridge.
next looking.
If there's a train coming across, you might see that.
Did you determine what that's made out of? The hammer?
It's metal.
Metal.
Yeah.
It's metal.
Yeah.
And this is how wide?
I believe we're 10 feet across.
And then this is right above the TI parking area, so that's where that big white square was. So this is the TI parking area down here. You can see the railroads up here. And this is a dog park. Yeah. And we've also got a restroom here too.
And Morgan, parking for that is where?
The dog park's not really flush on it.
For the dog park, where will you park? In the afternoon, what about if they want to use it during the day?
The city of Knox.
There are city-owned lots? Okay.
Right.
They-
See,
Okay.
Okay, pull right up. Well, and where the dog park is too, a lot of people are gonna walk from down the park to the dog park.
And it's not really city-owned lots. There's a use agreement with TI's lower parking.
Oh, okay.
In the evenings, it's all us, but there's a joint use agreement that we can use it if they want to use that as kind of.
That's good.
Down, small that area.
They're parking all the way up to the very big property. And that's basically your current protected lots are being flipped with the sidewalk. Now you have on-street parking instead of a protected lot. That's what you're walking into that area.
Okay, so these next features are just found all along City Walk. So if you want to just take a minute, Kyle, and maybe point out the roundabout and a couple other key features and where Union Square is, and then everybody can go sit down for the rest of this.
So here we have the greenery, we have some extra parking that we're creating where the city has wide and bright area. Here's the roundabout that we're creating.
Is that the photo?
The second avenue. It's gonna say one way for now, but this drawing is not exactly correct. They're gonna maintain the ability to switch to two-way in the future, so we won't be blocking it off like this. So second to eventually become the that's another problem.
270 turn.
From basically here on, for your road diagonal,
Just to make sure.
the width of this is 4 lines, we're gonna drop it down to 3 and replace the southernmost lane with the city walk, so that way we're not getting close to the railroad. You see, the railroad over there, and we're working at that out the railroad. Here also we have some not shown route around the Arboretum to try, that'll help you get off the city walk or on from the restroom, dog park area. It's a little bit of a hike, but we don't have a way to get directly across the railroad. So you'll be taking the sidewalk and we can keep running. This right here?
Right.
So we
Pedestrians cross the railroad track there.
Yeah, so we're not really doing anything to address the
Encourage
problem. No, we're trying to get them to move side to side, and the road's a little picky about going across the track, so we
A lot of
So
people walk
this is
across
a
that.
U-Haul, right, over here?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what?
The U-Haul.
WHKY.
And I think we mentioned before, we have a pretty new project within the last couple of years that improves the existing sidewalk here. It won't be city walk style, but it's brand new, and we won't pull it up, it's brand new. So that just improves the connectivity all over there.
You mentioned you're going from 4 to 2 lanes down here. What is the third? I mean, yeah,
The
3.
third lane will be like a second turn lane, basically.
Do we want to get away from center turn lanes that become the suicide lane where people think that they're launching that? So people actually, drive along it so they match the speed and get in it, and that's not how you use the turn lane.
Yeah, so we'll have to talk to our transportation.
Really close to me, I live on 127.
We'll make sure they look at that.
Well, yeah, I
Is there a
think
reason
it's
why the diagram doesn't go past schools?
Because, so the 4th to 9th section is originally part of streetscape number 9. And as part of the grant paperwork, the federal government who's awarding the grant, somehow it got in there, maybe it's a vestige of some paperwork from long ago, that 4th to 9th was part of it, but we didn't really put that out in the AMEC in the original design package. Now we're just absorbing it from streetscape 9, and streetscape 9 just kind of shrinking in size the same amount. So we're kind of fast forwarding that section on here. That being said, we've got a contract amendment to get AMEC to do the design work and get that going. And you'll see that in the future, and play catch up on that. So some other items, you got some arbors here. This right here is a serpentine seed wall, like what you have on the screen. There's a few of those throughout. Stamped concrete crosswalk here. And then on down the Mead Square, we'll get into that in a minute, but
Which city hall?
City Hall.
Right there, okay.
Right here.
So right where that is. That's the parking lot that you were just
This is the parking lot.
As far as the amenities like this, the little niches built out, how far along is that component? I mean, obviously you've got drawings and stuff like this, but how about bike parking or anything like that? A place to lock the bike up, if you
Yeah,
want
so
to
those
sit.
are kind of the site furnishings that'll come kind of, they're a future, so it's probably like 90%. And keep in mind, all these like furnishing type things, we're showing you a concept that we're going to spec out. We can't literally say you have to have this bike rack. So the contractors that bid on it, they have to have some options. And so we'll say we want a bike rack that's this tall and this one, and all this many bikes.
Well, I noticed that in a lot of places they're creating, and this is my, interest. A lot of cities are now making art pieces out of that. So it's not just a bike rack.
So we would make our specs a bit beefier than the just functional.
Then it looks good and it starts.
Right, so you wouldn't just want them to give you a metal pole.
Yeah, the old one like used to have on the square, that's it. That doesn't work. Yeah.
Also, I failed to mention the look of these, specifically like the railing across the bridge. Those are all a result of our voting, the last meeting we had. Yeah, okay.
Everything you see on screen is one of several choices that the subcommittee got to look at and determine, one, whether they like it or not, and two, whether they like it versus other options. And
Those are a lot.
Probably take it back to Morgan.
Okay.
Yes, yes, more.
You tell me to
Yes, yes.
Any updates on what's the track, the rest of the deal?
We're really wanting to be on this side. But just the design
Thank you guys. I know that was quite an exercise trying to gather all around the table, but I do really appreciate it. So this is the seat wall. So we're going to have these seat walls all along City Walk. And these are made out of handcrafted masonry. And along with the seat walls, we're going to have these story blocks. And these story blocks are going to tell stories about Hickory's past or things along the City Walk. It's going to be something that you can come and sit down on the seat wall and read something about either that location or the history or. Then we've got these benches. That sounded horrible with his voice. So I apologize, right? So we had a lot of different benches that we were choosing between, and this is the one that was the most popular and got the majority vote, along with the art benches. So there's currently art benches at Union Square, and we're going to incorporate those as well as these nice wooden ones. These are the wayfinding signs. So I'm sure you have all noticed the beautiful wayfinding signs that the city has put up recently. These are playing off of the same thing, so they're going to complement the signs that are already out there. They're going to be using the same font, the same text, and the tops of these are going to be lighted. And they're going to have different designs depending on where they're pointing to. The context of the location, so they're going to vary along the way as recommended by the designer. These are what we are calling kinetic spirals, and they will be found all along City Walk. They turn with the wind, and they are also self-lit, and they vary in height. I think they vary in height anywhere from 2 to 8 or 9 feet tall.
Yeah, I think these ones in this image are oversized.
I do too. So, but they'll be nice little pop-up surprises all along City Walk. One of the signatures that you'll see as you go along City Walk.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
My whole concern, I like the design there, but they look like they're susceptible to handling. I mean, they really look fragile, which is part of their charm.
Right.
But
I know they look fragile. That was actually a pretty big point of discussion in the subcommittee meeting. So that has been brought to the designer, and that is something he is incorporating into the design.
The size of the person is supposed to indicate the size of the person. You said,
Yeah.
I know.
He said not, but I don't understand. I'm sorry.
No, I know. They're supposed to vary in height along the way, and I do think that this one is bigger than what we're actually going to be seeing.
I know you said that, but I still don't. I guess the person has no.
Yes, it's basically probably an old image, but it's a good image to present on the screen. So just pretend that's the person. He's not there. Yes.
Will they turn how fast could they turn in the wind? No, I understand that part, but I mean, is there a limit to that, or is it, so I begin to ask the question, how dangerous are they?
They might
They're
speed so
not.
fast that Hickory takes off.
They want to take not sure that one.
That's definitely something I'm sure the designer is thinking about. Yeah, and I think we're going to have more of those kinds of details at 90%.
At 90.
So at 60%, let me back up for a minute. At 60%, we're making decisions on the looks and the feels of some of these things, but some of the things like the art hasn't been completely fleshed out yet. So we'll start to see this in a lot better detail at 90%.
Imagine their food's in the front too.
Yeah, I would think that.
So we looked at different restroom options for Union Square, and this is the restroom option that the subcommittee voted on. And it has a barrel vaulted ceiling. And the littler image in the corner, if you'll see where it kind of sticks out a little bit right here, that's actually where they're going to put maintenance, storage, utility access. So it'll be in the back of the restroom. And there was a lot of discussion about the restroom, and the subcommittee also wants to add built-in benches and planters along the sides.
What is the material above the belt?
Wood.
The walls.
It's like wood.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Yeah. Yes.
This kind of complements the station, right?
Yeah.
Was that discussed?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I have another question.
Sure.
We don't have a barrel roof anywhere in town that I know of.
TI has a new one over on their gym. We have a barrel at Federal Hollow Mill.
Some of the old warehouse.
Well, yeah, some of the warehouses have a boat truck.
They say TI's got a new, brand new coming up on their.
This is that, yeah.
I would say that is one, and then we have a barrel roof actually on Howard Avenue, so the restaurant portion of it.
We voted down a flat, I think for obvious reasons.
We've got 2 more restrooms along City Walk also that will match the same look and feel. They'll be modular, but they'll be made out of the same materials and complement this bathroom.
I have a question. Are those poles, are those for like skylights or what's that?
Yes, it's for natural lighting to come into the restroom. Yeah.
And my other question is too, because I'm going to have to leave early, but is there, and I meant to bring this up at the Riverwalk meeting, but is there a way that we could possibly name something after our late mayor, Rudy Wright, because he was, part of this from the beginning, and, maybe somebody has already proposed it, but something to, remember him by, because he was definitely a part of this from the beginning.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. We're taking notes, so we will definitely get that feedback back to the designer and discuss that with the city.
Okay, because I noticed like there were some places for like, a park, and then maybe a trail for like the Riverwalk, and I thought, well, this is something that, I'm sure if you were still here, you'd be happy of the progress where we're at, with the commission. So I just thought, if there's anywhere in the plans to say, maybe a bench, maybe a park, in memory of Mayor Rudy Wright.
So certainly that's a fantastic suggestion. What we have is a process when there is a public property that's named after someone. So what we can do is we can just make sure that that's mentioned through the proper channels, and certainly if anything is to be able to come from that, we would be happy to do it. Thank you.
The City Walk Subcommittee also discussed having a Veterans Memorial. This would be where the clock is now, kind of right in the middle of Union Square, in front of the shops. The flags would be relocated there. And to zoom in, there would be what they're calling impactful words around the edges. And this is new to the City Walk Subcommittee too. I actually just got this drawing today. And the words around there right now say honor, valor, courage, sacrifice, Marines, and Navy. But you can only see 2 sides, so that's obviously just in the conceptual phase. But I thought you guys would be straining to see what the words were, so I wanted to. I'm sure the other military branches would be represented, obviously, but
Sure, we're on the other side.
And to clarify, the image is what's new today. The City Walk Subcommittee had voted to include a veterans memorial of Union Square.
good point. Good point.
Well, being a veteran, might want to do some serious thinking about that, because we have members in this city from World War II to this current war. And so if you're going to have a veterans memorial, you need to be able to honor all the wars. I know I've served a couple of my own self. And this nation has not properly honored the Vietnam War veterans. And if you're going to have a memorial, you need to make sure you honor them as well, and not just World War II. We always talk about World War II, but the greatest casualty was suffered during Vietnam. And we need to honor those guys. I'm after Vietnam. I'm Persian Gulf, I'm Desert Storm, I'm Nicaragua, I'm Somalia. Those are the wars that I went to. But if we're going to have a memorial, it needs to reflect all the wars, because we got several generations of veterans now. And the reality of it is we got the largest homeless veteran community in the state of North Carolina, here in Hickory. So we got a lot of veterans here, so we need to do some more thought on that.
That's a very good point. And to speak to that point, this concept was actually brought to the city by, what was the organization?
Scott Owens and Dr.
But what were the organizations?
Rotary was one of them, and then the other was the organization.
Veterans. So they were brought forth by a veterans organization and a Rotary organization. So the city will be working with those organizations to ensure that this meets everybody's needs. Okay, good. Absolutely.
No, I don't know if you may get to it. The other monument at one point in the process, the polio miracle victory monument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't do it.
So in general, the monument right now, it's not locked in stone, but the current plans have it kind of where the bus station is. But we have heard from, I believe it's the Arts Commission, potentially about moving it out somewhere else to the actual site as an option. We haven't waded through that yet. So that's still up for debate.
So again, this is just 60%, so we're still playing with the location of everything and just looking at options right now. But this is Union Square, and we've looked at art options, and this is one of the art options for Union Square, and I'm fixing to show you, I'm about to, I heard fixing to is really kind of a Texas thing, I apologize. But I'm going to show you some renderings of how these all fit into Union Square, but I wanted to show you what they are before we look at the renderings. So this is one that we are calling light spinners. And these are similar to the other ones that we saw, except they're can be manually spun instead of spun by the wind. And they're also internally lit. And then this is what we're calling the human kaleidoscope. And this is really cool. It's about 18 foot tall, and the inside is all mirrored. So it's very interactive, and you can walk through it and look at all of the internal surfaces there. So here's an overview of Union Square. One of the other decisions that the subcommittee wanted to bring forth today is that the lawn be made of reinforced grass. Right through here is where a fire truck has to have access across. So that's why there's no trees there. But the subcommittee did talk about adding trees along here, which is why there's now trees here for shade elements. Reinforced grass.
So it basically is like a geogrid, like a big plastic honeycomb that's in the dirt to help distribute the load. If a heavy tire comes across it, it'll mess up the top of the grass, but it'll keep the fire truck from sinking into the dirt.
But it's real grass on top of that.
Real grass.
The grass just grows up around it. You won't be able to see it.
So you're not gonna have a mud track.
Right. And, it's designed for, it's like hopefully it's a once in a lifetime. It doesn't have an overload or anything.
So it's important to add a technical writing for the fire safety requirement. Part of the stuff.
Okay, the fire safety
Yeah,
requirement?
the fire truck has to go through.
Yeah.
That it has to be designed.
Right. So looking at it from this view, the fire truck has to be able to get through here.
The trees have to be of such a caliber that if you're sitting in the grass, you can see the stage.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the committee also had some concern about where you cross over paddock, where you couldn't cross the railroad tracks and head towards the alley, crossing the grass. There was some concern about that.
Right.
A handicapped person coming to go on through there will have to come all the way to this end and all the way back.
Right, yeah, because they've incorporated some seating here. So you can see some steps along the edge here that wrap around. And you can see the shade that the trees are creating. So shade was a really big discussion item for the subcommittee. And the connection.
The question was, what are y'all doing about the concern about the handicap?
Right, so the connection that was discussed through here is still something that's being looked at. So there could be a ramp. We talked about having paving stones through there just to make a path. We talked about a lot of different things, so we'll probably revisit that again at 90%.
Handicapped people can get where they want to go. Clearly, most of it's not grass. But one of the concerns that we had is that we wanted it to maintain that long grass, the whole length to be grass, and not to be a sidewalk in the middle. And that was one of the desires we had.
One thing I look for them is ways.
No, I get it. They're going to revisit it.
And we talked about the meeting, we talked about the fact when you do it like colleges do, you don't do anything that where kids walk.
That's right.
But you will have to have something out there sooner or later.
Right.
But we have that walkway there, but how many people really go from right there? People are parking in different places. I'm not going to park over here and then walk way up to that crosswalk there and then go across. So that's really only people coming from like the station, or if we have a potential parking deck across the street. So initially, I don't see the concern.
Yes.
Under the safety features can prevent a car from going off into this area where pedestrians typically be. So we're talking about ease of access for emergency vehicles, but at the same time, to protect pedestrians, if a car or truck all of a sudden goes awry and decides to go through that area, is there even safety features in there?
The curbs.
Curves. So.
Because some people, because what happened in New York City on the 31st,
Yeah.
We actually had somebody do that one night downtown after a concert. It was really late. We were all, a lot of people were at the wine shop, and some kids came screaming through the brick in a car.
So this is at least helps prevent that a little bit, making it harder to do that, but.
Yeah, the fire truck would actually have to pop up on the car. They'd have to do it intentional, which I'm not sure any thought was going into intentional barricades, because this would be very similar to any complex parking lot, area around town or anywhere across the state. But there wouldn't be curbs, which is the standard barrier protection.
So to add to that, not specifically at Union Square in this view that you're looking at now, but over the length of City Walk, a lot of them at the intersections and crossings, we have 42 bollards. And bollards will help keep vehicles, especially at those corners where, you cut the corner too much and you end up on the curb. and then also people that might intentionally do that. There are 42 bollards in the contract, and they're not just ugly metal poles, they're designer pieces too, that add to the design and feel.
Another question. I personally really love the granular ornaments that are down there. I don't see them displayed there. Is it just that they're not there, or they're going to continue to stay in downtown?
No, they've been swapped out for this, in this design.
Did you get that, Mike?
I did.
Did you get that, Mike?
So here it is from the other side. And you're at a little bit more of a human height on this side, I believe. And you can see here that you can see the sails clearly. So I wanted this picture in here to just help everybody know that the sails are still going to be visible. They're going to make a point of that.
And there's no trees in the front of the concert stage.
Right. Right. And you can also get a good view here of how we are proposing that the art interacts. So we've got the big human kaleidoscope here in the middle, and these lighted spinners kind of out along in front of the storefronts.
This is an owner that was on Union Square for a long time, in sight distance, and I'm sure Connie would talk to this. And we talked about, Michelle, the merchants, about being able to see their storefronts and these spinners set in front of them, and the artwork, and then the height of the trees. And that was one of the biggest issues we had, was by the perennial gardens went in, so you could see the storefronts on Union Square. There was a huge issue with merchants with that, and I think Connie would agree with me that DDA, I think that's an issue to be able to see the businesses so that the economic development portion of everything we're doing, the City Walk, we have in mind that we bring people to the shops.
Well, I know that.
Different entities, but I think that's going to be a concern.
Okay, that's a very valid concern. I know Mike's making a note of it. I know that they are strategically locating the art, and they have purposely put the human kaleidoscope. If you see, they kind of put a little cutout here, so they could put it out a little further so that it wouldn't block.
So the wine shop that is doing a tremendous job of bringing people downtown has become a destination. Where will they sit for the wine shop?
Right there.
Where they are.
Okay.
But also,
Right in front of the alley.
also I think we need to say that, so the city walk here is split. So we have it there next to the railroad track, we also have it there next to the storefront.
Right, so it's moving here and here.
So we have the people moving on the outside of the businesses.
Yeah, and we've got things that are drawing them
Wider
in.
now, right?
Yeah.
It's actually wider than it is now.
That's right.
We've got one question over
I
here.
think the trees that are in the green area are fine, but the trees that are right in front of the buildings is where the garbage should be. Because those trees are usually end up cutting trees down. Because they're gonna get too big.
We had-
Hide everything and.
Yeah, and we had a lot of discussion about those trees, so I'm sure there will be options
There's not trees there
actually.
now, so we're not planning.
Okay.
We'll let people gardens.
Okay.
In downtown Greenville, South Carolina, you know, there's this line of trees right at the beginning, and it actually creates a pretty nice atmosphere. Now, I'm not a store owner, so I don't know how.
Wait a couple of years.
Yeah.
When the trees grow and they get bigger and they start, arborists have to come in and start come back and.
I'm not a tree guy, so I don't know, but I look like a tree guy.
They've done a new season shade access to every season to everything.
Right.
Yeah, so, and again, it's 60%, we can nitpick, remember, we had river walk. But I think that the concept is what we want to present, and I think it's great feedback on the frames and stuff. With that, but the comment from Ron when he was in the comment is, they will look at every season, every angle of shade, what type of tree, make sure the roots don't interrupt the sidewalk. These people have planned major cities across this country, they're not amateurs. And we do have to have a little trust in the process. So I'd like hearing all the comments, and I'm going to interrupt more, but I really want to get Riverwalk at some point tonight too.
But the one comment I have on the shade, one thing I have about the wine shop is it's really hot right there. And it would be nice to have some shade brought back. Other than just the obelisk.
So we just have a couple more images to get through. Here's another image of how the art interacts with each other right here. And then here's an image of it at night. So it's all going to be uplit, and it's going to give a real nice effect at night. Real nice feel. So to sum up City Walk, the City Walk recommendations are that we take forward to City Council these final polling results that we went over, and the art and sculpture concepts. They haven't been finalized yet, but just that we're moving in the right direction, that we like the art and that we're moving in the right direction. And the Union Square lawn and shade concepts, that we're moving in the right direction as far as shade in the lawn area.
And I captured all of your comments on here. The one that I considered perhaps a design change was the perennial gardens. So with that caveat that we relook at the perennial gardens, and is there a way to keep or incorporate those into this recommendation?
So with that, these would be the recommendations we would take forward to City Council from Bond Commission. Are there any objections to taking forward these recommendations? Raise your hand if there's any objections.
Not really an objection, but just sitting here and listening. I'm a pastor. And when you're a pastor, you got all types of people in your congregation, all types of opinions and all types of feelings. And we can't just always want to rule out what somebody's saying. If we're going to have these people to be a part of this commission, we got to be willing to allow people to voice what they're saying. Whether we like it or not, whether we want to rush it or not, go on. I tell you, the church, we won't leave. But they have the right to say what they need to say, because we need to represent this entire city. This is just not a one-face city. There's multifaceted faces in this city. And as I look at this, this is good, but I know that the congregation that I represent the most, a lot of this stuff don't even appeal to them. It's really not doing anything to reach that side of the city. So we need to be willing to really listen and hear what everybody's saying so we can present. Now, I like what I see. I think it's going to be beautiful. My only concern that I want you to think about is that we're in a suit-happy country now, and we're in a divided country now. And so he's talking about vandalism. What I thought about was, babies are unpredictable, and this is family appealing. We have families walking around now, and you guys still spinning and moving. You might get a child locked up in there spinning and moving. And so I know you got that. I look like you say you're very professional, do this all the time, but I want to make sure we put safety on the top.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I captured a lot of different notes on that. How fast is this going to spin? I captured your comments on the honoring all wars, especially Vietnam. And I'll just read these out so y'all know I captured them. But naming something after the late Mayor Rudy Wright's on here. Don't let the Union Square trees block the stage view. Revisit the path through the grass area. The safety features for cars. How do we prevent intentional driving up? The perennial gardens, and then the trees in front of the building. So all of that is going to be passed on with this, and it was all heard and all written down. But the one that's the significant, what I viewed as the design change, is the perennial gardens, which is why I point that one out.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you, sir.
Dave, you can't forget, this is the spine. It's going from LR and 40 all the way to the lake.
Right.
And it's the spine, the backbone of it. And if we get the money, the economic development, we're going to build off of the spine to serve all parts of the city in subsequent phases.
Yes, sir.
That's what we decided a long time ago. Okay.
So,
Can I ask a question about that? I do remember before, in the very early stages, that when the Boardwalk RIB project was proposed and there was no funding for it, that there was the strong idea that would be next. When additional money became available, that something tying the south side to the north side and something to bring in the south side of town to the City Walk would be next. And I'm so sorry, I missed a couple of subcommittee meetings, I was out of town. The extension from 4th Street to 9th Street, why was that next rather than the RIP project?
That was, the 4th to 9th is already in your bond program as Streetscape 9. So really, we're just doing that out of order. It's not new to the bond program. And then also the book walk is included in our tiger grant application that we submitted this past month.
How optimistic are you that we might be funded this time?
Everyone seems to feel pretty good about it. Andrea was really, in fact, I wasn't a part of the previous applications. I was on this one, so Yadi might have better.
Yeah, so one thing I can say about the Tiger Grant is this year we did it a lot differently. So we brought a lot of it in-house, and then so we rewrote everything internally. So the team was Andrea Surratt, myself, Kyle Butler, and David and Eddie, who knows a lot about the redevelopment that needs to be done throughout the community. And so one of the things that we did was we focused on the book walk. And we focused on the needs of some of the areas in the other side where the book walk starts near the Ridgeview Library, particularly because of the sidewalk conditions coming up through there. So we focus very heavily on that in the application. We're doing a lot of different things as far as lobbying. We're doing it all through a lot of you who have been reaching out and reaching those that have connections. And so it's a different process in the lobbying that we're doing this year. We're very hopeful, and certainly we're very passionate about it, and it's one of the highest things on our priority.
Which brings us to the last thing on City Walk. What we'd like to do is to finish up City Walk to move on to Riverwalk, unless there's any other comments. I'd like to go ahead and take a motion. As Morgan said, going with the final polling results from the subcommittee that you saw, the art sculpture concepts, the Union Square concepts, the caveat of everything that I read out before, would that be the motion of the bond commission? Any objections to that?
No.
Got first and a
All right.
second.
Going once, twice. All right, sold.
All right.
Let's do a quick 5-minute bathroom break, and then, oh, it's not. You did object. I'm sorry, I missed that. All right. And with that, a 5-minute restroom break, and then we'll jump to Riverwalk.
7:05?
7:05.
We'll try to be finished here at 7:30.
But that was because that was because there's a grant.
All right, let's segue to Riverwalk. Alan, since you're standing, come on up here, you can kick it off. So they had a lot of committee meetings as well, and we'll let Alan fill you in.
So I want to start by apologizing for not sending out emails to invite you to Frank's house for the big party. Yeah, what time is that, Frank? No, anyway, I'm kidding. But seriously, I do want to thank all of you for your input on Riverwalk. And we've had members bringing in comments from outside people. And so where you've had those thoughts, definitely keep bringing them to our committee members because we want to hear those. And I will say, we can't include all of them. I mean, I was one of the biggest proponents for, I want to take the Riverwalk thing way up through the trees and everything. And as we've gotten more information, some of that's just not practical. So we have to blend that practicality. But we're getting lots of great ideas. And at our 30% meeting, I think that we came to a consensus on a lot of the things that are being put in. We've got lots of details that are going to be coming with more meetings. So we want to continue getting that feedback in. I was getting some more tonight from somebody who was going, oh, that could be really cool. So I think this is going to be a really great project. It's going to be a little bit like what we were thinking about and a little bit different. But let's make it the best we can. And Maureen, give us the show run.
Sure. So we're at a great introduction. Okay, so for Riverwalk, I'm just going to walk you through an overview. I want to start out by saying that City Walk was at 60%, so we had options to look through. We had things that we had very detailed discussion about. Riverwalk's at 30%, so we're still pretty high level, we're conceptual, we're looking at the direction that we want to go with Riverwalk. That being said, we wanted to make sure and revisit our design goals and make sure that we were still aligned with our goals, make sure that our goals were still the direction we wanted to move. So I'll give you a second to look at these goals. These are the goals that the Riverwalk Subcommittee is recommending that we move forward with.
And that's the same committee with that, right?
Yes,
Okay.
nothing changed.
Read it out loud.
So a quick overview, and then I'm going to get into a little bit more detailed as you can get at a 30% conceptual level. Over here is where the 321 bridge is. Down here is Old Lenore Road. This is an entrance area. This section to here is the iconic bridge part. And these two little bump outs are the overlooks, and we're going to look at that in a little more detail here in a minute. And then from here to here is the rest of the Riverwalk, and it is on the shoreline, and it just kind of hugs the shore. It goes in and out. There's different views that you can get as you walk along there. And you've got some connecting paths here. These both connect back to the Boy Scout camp. And then this path kind of runs parallel back to Lackey. And they both connect to Lackey at this end. And the Riverwalk is approximately 3,100 feet long. And these paths here are not necessarily ADA accessible, but the rest of the path is. So those give you your little bit of hiking that people were talking about having. So starting at this end, coming this way, this majority of the Riverwalk here looks like this. So it is 12 foot wide, as Mike mentioned earlier, instead of the previous 10 foot wide, so that was taken into account. It does have steel railings on both sides, and it has a sustainable decking material from South America. Did they talk about that being from South America? Yeah.
It's a natural wood.
A natural wood from South America that has a very long life expectancy. So that was looked at. Moving along, here's the iconic bridge part. And this has these big galvanized steel towers with these cables connecting them. Masts. We called them masts. And they vary in height up to 30 foot above the deck. And whereas on this part of the bridge is in 50-foot sections. At this part of the bridge, they're in 300-foot sections. So it looks more like it's floating. The iconic bridge part looks more like it's floating. And then the overlook pieces have a bench right here to sit on. You still have 12 foot wide here. And then along here, you have 11 foot wide.
How many people can fit on a bench?
The bench is approximately 35 foot long. And this whole area is approximately 80 foot long. Yeah, you can put it up too. And this is a view kind of from the 321 angle at night. So again, we're still at 30%. Lighting is conceptual, but it's going to be magnificent. It's going to be beautiful. I wish I could say that with more enthusiasm in my voice. And then this is down towards the 321 end. This is 321 here. And this is Old Lenore. So the path comes down and it connects to Old Lenore, and that connects us back up to all of our other projects. Connects us back up to City Walk. And then this is a proposed paved path that takes us up, and these are the new tennis court parking lot that's going to tie in there.
That's a separate project from this project.
Right.
We're tying into Max existing tennis court parking project.
And then here's another view of the entrance plaza area. So this is the water treatment facility, and it's being screened with trees. And this is a parking lot of approximately 30 spaces. So it's going to be a pretty nice parking lot. And when you drive in, this is a turnaround. There's a couple of handicap spots here, but you can drive up and drop people off and pick people up at this turnaround. And they're wanting to make that like a trailhead. So they're wanting to make it not as iconic as the iconic bridge, but still something that you know that you're entering the Riverwalk. Something grand.
Is that a dock?
That is a dock, but it is a dock for private use by the city. So that was a big discussion item in our Riverwalk meeting about if we could have docks down here, and that's going to be discussed further with the city.
There's a lot of discussion because the water intakes right there too.
Right.
There's restrictions on what you can do now. But we talked about having some kind of boat access, kayak access, and they're still going to work on that.
So did everybody hear what Burke said about the water intake? Okay.
What is the area right next to 321, that green space in the buildings on the left?
This one?
Raw water intake, that's part of the water line.
Part of the water plant.
And the other building over sort of on the water?
Is the sewer lift station. That's, which one? The one you circled is the current raw water intake. Next to 321 bridge is the existing 321 intake. And the one she's circling there is actually a sewer lift station. You circle out again and you curve that's a sewer lift station.
And over there on the beginning of the trailhead, so to speak, is that an economic development opportunity?
Our economic development opportunities are going to be this existing building here.
Right.
And possibly something here in this area. But again, we're only at 30%, so definitely something we have to look into. And we are going to, so this is the end of the iconic bridge right here, where it ties back in. And we're going to set this up so that it can tie in under 321 and continue down along on the other side.
Earlier you mentioned the lighting on the path along the iconic bridge. And right now you're not allowed to be in the park after dusk. So is that going to change? Is the city going to have?
As it stands now, no, but if we're lighting it, it makes sense that it would go later, but it won't be 24-hour day.
Yeah, that would be understandable, but I didn't know, because right now you back in for cyclists, you're supposed to be out of the park 30 minutes prior to dusk.
But we do want to have lighting that you can see from 321 that's attracting people. That's the point of having an iconic feature, right? To draw people in, so.
You know, it's interesting, the question's interesting, you might know, because Larry is on the eastern end of this whole thing, is, I assume, going to be rentable in the evenings. And so once that happens, then you're tying into Riverwalk.
Right.
So.
Well, and the light is being
Blackie ties into the Riverwalk. So, yeah, it's going to change the game a lot.
Well, the thought also is maybe in that green space that's the old pistol range, the large green space that's there. I mean, we're thinking amphitheater or something, maybe there's concerts, and so it makes sense that that would go until 11 at night or midnight or something, and then everything shuts down. So I mean, as it stands now, no, but I can see where that would change.
Is that enough parking, seriously?
Well, and we've got this big parking lot, and how many spots did Matt say that was? 100? Yeah, over 100.
But over on the other side,
120.
on the Lackey project end, there's going to be a lot of parking, and most people go to that end anyway, right? Sure. We were thinking that's probably where most people are going to use it.
I was just still traveling on 321, go to that side.
I was just thinking, I guess. Or they use those thirds.
What was your comment?
Can you just go back one, please?
Back one?
The trees, I understand the trees on the bottom, that sort of are a buffer between water facility and the parking lot, but the trees right there in the middle, on the right, on that to me is just, that to me is just upkeep.
I think they're trying to make a tree-lined path.
You have a tree-lined path on the right that leads you to because I'm thinking you could probably fit more parking spaces if you didn't have so many trees, and the trees are just going to be an upkeep.
But who stays for the trees?
They're not there anyway, so what's going to happen? They're not there anyway.
What does the song go? They take paradise and do it for parking.
Man. That's, again, this is only 30%, so that's a great comment that we'll take back to the designers.
You wrote it down, didn't you?
Yeah, Mike got it.
It was written down, I know.
You just added to it.
So I just want to clarify, because I am on streetscapes and gateways, and so this is new for me.
Yeah.
And I've been here from the beginning, and I remember in the beginning, I was like, oh, we need to do all Riverwalk, and we make choices.
Right.
So let me just clarify, if you would clarify, so the 15 million grant that we got enabled us to actually go on the waterway. Because it's Iconic Bridge is like brand new to me, and I'm thrilled with it. But I just want to make sure that everyone else, because this is new to me, I want to make sure that we all know that that's what the deal is then. Because initially, like Alan, what you were saying, is we were thinking about, because financially we were thinking it would be cheaper to go up and all that kind of stuff. So I'm assuming from Duke Power and from the conversations with them and the topographic information that we got, this is the best choice. Which, I mean, it's beautiful, but I just want clarification.
Yeah,
The Iconic Bridge has always been there. That was one of the things that sold the city on Rosales as part of it. So that's been there from the very beginning. What it looked like was different.
But then, yes.
It's changed a little bit as we've gotten into it.
It's just beautiful. I'm not critical. I totally think it's awesome.
We originally thought that having the walkway along the riverfront was going to be more expensive than running up through the woods as part. And we found out through the geodetic survey that that's not the case. And so we've had to be adapting as we go along and get more information.
And that's the only conversation I need to have, because that's why you have subcommittees, and that's why you have a bond commission. Because I would not know that, and I think it's wonderful. I'm not critical, I just would like to have
more information.
No, yeah, I should have backed up and said that at the beginning. I apologize for that.
Let me ask this question.
Sure.
A little bit confused, which is not the bridge concept, does it go the whole Riverwalk? No.
Well, the Iconic part is the first 700 feet, I think. And then the rest is still a bridge along the shoreline.
But it doesn't have
the map.
Right, it doesn't have the
It has
map.
lighting,
Correct.
but not big maps.
Because part of the beauty of that whole thing is the big rock faces. As you go down the river, cliffs and everything. And I thought you were going to put these damn masks before the cliffs.
Yeah.
Now we got put up.
Yeah, I think pretty as we get in, most of the rocks.
Please don't saw down any masts. The whole bridge will collapse.
Most of the rocks are up in the air to the east of me. And so I think as we get into the design, we're very aware of those as a feature. And we're going to be trying to
blend in, how do we make those two merge in and complement each other?
I just think, I wanted to say that the Riverwalk, they did a fantastic, at this point, I've done a great job. Because this is not what, I just wanted to say that, I remember, I can't remember her name, bless her heart. But there was a lady on the set, and she's like, I'm putting all my, she put her dot on the Riverwalk, and this is what she wanted, and she wanted the Riverwalk, and that's what she wanted. And she didn't get it because we all made these compromises in the beginning. Y'all remember that? Well, she's getting her way, and I'm just, y'all did a great job, and
So,
good
the
job.
one thing that you mentioned about the grants, the grants actually have allowed us to realize some of the money and make that, Morgan mentioned earlier, we went from 10 feet width to 12 foot width.
Exactly.
That's part of that grant money coming in.
Well, I congratulate you because I wish you were here. I don't know her name.
Yeah. Another comment over here.
Will we reuse any of the railing concept that was used on the city walk here to kind of tie it together visually, or is it going to be a totally different look?
We can talk to the designers about that.
I'm not saying it has to, I'm just curious.
Yeah, right now we have two very different, designers doing City Walk and River Walk, and they both come up with their concepts. There are city standards that tie both projects in, but they aren't planning on doing that. Do I need to capture that you think they should, or?
I just think that overall it should all blend, especially since it's going to connect. Yeah, it needs to have a kind of a seamless, not seamless, it doesn't need to be exact, but I think it needs to look like it flows together.
And is it the rail specifically, or is that more of a general? So more of a general comment?
Features.
I will share that we talked in our last subcommittee meeting, the mast reminded some of us of sailboats and those little bump outs, and we went, sails, there's something up on the square called the sails. And so there was actually talk around that, how can we connect those two somehow? We don't know what it would look like, or if we'll even do it. But similar to what you're talking about, where's the connection?
What's the volume? What's your projected volume? Use 500 people, 10,000 people?
I don't know that we have a projected.
A day, or what do you think?
Well, you're talking about parking lots. So if you got a projected volume, no people will be there, they can help them determine the parking lots you need. You have that one spot, you're talking about economic development, so they may end up being parking lots because of the volume. So do you know, I know when we build churches, we have to anticipate 10 years out what the volume will be, because they have so many parking lots with so many seats.
Yeah, we'll capture that, and the designer who did the parking lot, I assume did that. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but we'll follow up. And
There's actually more parking, as in Little League, we had, there's that parking that's behind, it's kind of, if you're standing in the Arby's parking lot and you look over towards the water plant, it goes kind of up the hill, it's all terrace. And you kind of always forget about that, and I think there might be 100 spots in there. But it's not really, you don't think about it, it's kind of where it's at.
You gotta have a way to get from there to you.
Yeah, well, that whole little road, that section is more or less a dead end right there, so I would imagine it's gonna have a solid sidewalk or something, right there.
Yeah, public scooters.
Yeah, public scooters. Hey.
We have 2 handicap spots so far.
Trolley. So has public transportation been brought into this spot because if you look at the parking spaces and so forth, is there an opportunity to build in some infrastructure so that our existing bus system or shuttles could actually give public access to various parts on the city walk as well as River Walk?
We discussed it a little bit at the last advisory board of the Transportation Transportation Advisory Board for Greenway. I sit on that committee board, but nothing, significant yet. But what I'm saying is the ideas are being out there for the future as we look at the issues that come up.
I was hoping in the future parking spaces will be less important than a nice bus stop and even more important.
That's a good point. In the interest of time, let's go ahead and look at the recommendations right quick. This is great discussion, and we're happy to stick around for more discussion. These are our ultimate recommendations to take to City Council. The design goals that we discussed earlier, the alignment being all along the water as shown, the iconic bridge concept and the entrance plaza and parking concept. I know they're still very high level conceptual, but those are the recommendations that the subcommittee has proposed to take to City Council.
With the following notes, consideration of can the park be used at night? You know, with dusk right now, you can't be in the park. The trees in the parking lots, do we really need those trees? Can we get more parking there? Make sure the features of Riverwalk and City Walk tie in, that there's some sort of connection between the two projects. Looking at the volume of usage for parking consideration. Discussion that there are several other parking options nearby as well, which we may, when we're talking about this volume of usage, want to look at these other parking locations. And then public bus stops being considered as well versus other parking.
So I have a question.
Yes.
If I may. The other, I don't want to bring them into it, but the other comments that were made at the committee meeting, subcommittee meeting, you've got all those captured.
Absolutely.
When do they come into play? Like at 6
We give
years?
them the designer and then they use those.
And then we see what comes
Yeah,
out of
and then
it.
we see,
Okay.
yeah, they're going to use those to get to 90.
All right, great.
I think it's like 3 pages.
No, I know.
One of my light that came up in that discussion at the committee meeting was the lights. There's discussion about LED, you can make them different colors for different events, Christmas, July 4th, or they just be like white. And I know they see that in other cities, very something.
Just for, and again, I have restaurants and things, and think about this, food trucks down availability, are there outlets, is there electricity in the parking lot, are there places for that? Vendors, are we gonna have food, are we gonna allow that?
Yes.
Are we gonna have paddleboard opportunity? I mean,
So-
where are people go that are gonna be the
Well,
economic?
we talked about the paddleboard, and I mentioned Will a second ago. This end,
I'm sorry, I had to step out.
well, this end at the 321 is tough because of the water intake, but down at the Lackey project, we're going to try to.
That'll be where all the economic portion where.
Well,
That'll be where the paddleboards are. We've talked about food trucks, restaurants.
To be able to eat and.
Right, we're only at 30% right now, but those ideas have already started being discussed.
Where's the physical area where those things might go?
We've got this building, and then we've got this area.
How large is that area?
Pretty big.
How large that area is, it's the piston area. It's large.
It's size, but that's the flattest area. A lot of the area is fairly steep. That's the spot that it
It's
is.
bigger than a football square. Can you fit that many retail and hospitality options?
I knew the square footage at one point. I don't.
Yeah, but
No, this is 30% too. So
Right.
remember that. And so you take that input and you go with that.
Right.
But also, I think the concept, remember, is to get it across over
Under
towards
31.
stadium, under, that's where you're gonna get that.
The land for that type of.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, I think there ought to be some areas.
Yeah, but I think we need also to make sure that we are making it hiking trail. Do make it that it's, you are not, you know, let's not have light pollution, so we have lights all over. Be respectful of the environment.
But we are doing this to encourage residential and business development in that area.
But now we're on the west side of 321, there's huge traffic over there.
You just need to be able to have people able to feed, I just want to feed them and let them drink.
And this doesn't show access to that.
No, but it's going to be that. That's telling you.
I mean, there's not restaurants out there either that you can see at this point either.
Right, we have discussed restrooms, yes.
A lot to go, 70% of all.
Right, yeah, absolutely. So still,
Is there
the bandwidth to actually build across?
Yes.
So it's gonna be raised like 8
Right.
feet or something like that above?
yeah,
Where the train goes, so is there enough room for the train and for something else in the future to go across there?
yes, they're making that available for us.
The discussion I've heard is we're gonna build a new bridge, right? And there are 2 existing bridges there now. One of them's gonna go, the other one they're gonna let be dedicated to the greenway. So we can go over across the rivers. I think that's the concept. It hasn't been worked out.
The masks, those are gonna cost an extra $1 million.
The iconic bridge concept is an extra $1 million, yes.
I was telling people in the committee meeting, when I go across that bridge, no matter which way I go, I'm always looking that way. And I think that's kind of where everybody's going to see it. Everybody goes through it.
It's a draw.
It is a draw.
Well, this is results, right?
Yes.
And this is his specialty, and this is why the park in downtown Greenville is so well known. So I think it will be it is expensive, but.
You put a river in it.
And as Alan mentioned, though, when they interviewed, Shortlist interviewed for it, they were the ones that brought, hey, let's do something here. There's this visual, this gateway. That's when they introduced this bridge concept, and you guys selected them for that concept.
And there will be a lot of connectivity off of it to the trail.
I feel like we're fixing to lose some more people. Can we take a vote right quick before we lose more people?
What do we got?
What do you mean?
Accepting this.
These
Yeah,
recommendations
1%.
with these caveats.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is she saying?
Okay, well, I have a question
Daniel will
before.
say so.
How wide did you say the bridge component is at the lookout sections?
Well, it's 12.
Well, it's.
So 12,
33.
bench, 11.
The 33?
No, it's about 23, 24 feet.
Not counting the bench. So the bench, say it's 4, 5, 6 foot wide, so upper 20s.
Okay.
So the standard width is 10, 12, and then it goes up to 23
Plus.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? That one's unanimous, right? Okay. All right. So the next
Still discuss this.
next step is it's going to be presented to council on
On the 21st,
November 21st.
that's going to be a city council meeting at 7 PM on the 21st. We'll have the designers here to present
Yeah, the second.
to council. We'll have their say.
Okay. Anything else we? Oh. Yeah, these things are in the back. Marketing brochure. Y'all grab some. Hand them around. Anything else we need to cover?
I'll just quickly say thank you. I know it's time away from your family, friends. Appreciate you being here. Next meeting, we're going to talk about the updated schedule for the bond program.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. We're adjourned.
Very nice.
You think it'd be a
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's Christmas. That's North Carolina.
We're going to build it. This year. No, you're the one that's supposed to be on this. Yeah, I did too. I just want to call you out.